Hey, welcome back, guys. How are you doing today? Fantastic? Fabulous? Miserable? Totally anxious? Well, I feel like most people, you probably thought of different words. I'm okay. I'm fine. It's good. That's what most people say. And this really matters. Why? Well, of course, socially we're conditioned to always respond in sort of neutral, easygoing ways. But there's a larger issue here that's at stake, which is most people aren't in tune with how they're truly feeling. They aren't aware of the emotions they're currently experiencing and therefore can't even label them, can't even say, hey, I'm doing fantastic, I'm doing fabulous, I'm, really feel inspired today, I really feel creative today, or maybe I'm just super anxious going into this test. Whatever it is, this skill of what psychologists call emotional granularity, meaning the ability to accurately identify and label and understand your emotions, is absolutely vital. Why? Because emotions in our lives are essentially these instructions that our brain sends us in order to make us, think and act in certain ways. For example, anger makes us lash out, it makes us attack, right? While fear makes us really run away as fast as possible, retreat, make ourselves small. Love makes us connect with people. Happiness, joy, ecstasy, they make us repeat certain things. What got us the joy, the fun, the excitement in the first place. Inspiration makes us, engage in creative and fulfilling pursuits. Sadness makes us, really, let go of old hurts and pain and reorient our lives. And so the emotions we feel and how we label them matters because they will instruct our way of moving forward. And the challenge then is that most people don't really have an accurate way of actually identifying and labeling their emotions. I mean, they have maybe 3 ways to label them, right? They have, I'm great, I'm okay, and I'm miserable, I'm crappy, right? And so really what I'm trying to suggest to you today is to find 50 ways of feeling crappy, 50 ways of feeling okay, and 50 ways of feeling fabulous and excited and fully alive and abundant and vibrant and blissful. Why? Because it allows you greater emotional flexibility. It allows you to truly understand how you're actually feeling and thereby make better choices in your life. Because if every time that you feel a little bit negative, every time you have a little weird feeling, if you don't have the right words, you'll always throw all these things into just one little box, which is, well, I'm angry, or I'm frustrated, or I'm sad, or I'm depressed. Why? Because you don't have any other ways of describing the emotion. And so the more words you can learn about how to really label them and categorize them in the right way, the more you can, pick the right emotions and thereby also choose the right reactions to how you're actually feeling. And so that's today, exactly what today is about, is really understanding and getting in touch with our emotions to learn how we truly feel and thereby have greater flexibility in our thoughts and our actions, going forward. And so this really matters. Research shows over and over again that when we develop our emotional granularity, our mental and our physical health improve dramatically. Same for impulse control, right? If you're able to actually identify and label your emotions, what research shows, if you're just able to name them, right? You're saying, well, right now I'm really feeling angry. I'm really feeling frustrated. I'm really feeling anxious. That simple act of naming the emotion out loud or, in your head actually lessens its impact and allows you to really regulate that emotion rather than being swept away by some unconscious feeling that you're not quite particularly sure of, what it is, right? And so this is hugely important when it comes to actually, learning to regulate and deal with our emotions, especially the more challenging ones in our lives. And so there's really 3 keys that I want to give you guys today that will allow you to develop this emotional granularity, to really learn how to better control your emotions by simply identifying and understanding them better. And so the first idea I want to suggest to you is to add new words to your vocabulary. As I mentioned before, most people have 3 words to describe their state. They have great, they have okay, and they have crappy or miserable, I'm frustrated, angry, whatever it is. So really what I want to suggest to you is maybe even, open up a dictionary or online, you can find a whole variety of emotions, different ones, positive and negative, that you might want to add to your vocabulary. So that if someone asks you, hey, how you doing? You don't just say good. You may be saying, hey, I'm fantastic today. I'm fabulous. I'm inspired. I'm so grateful. I'm feeling loving. I'm feeling appreciative. Whatever it is for you, right? But just getting aware of this and having new words in your vocabulary is going to change how you show up, how you show up and identify those emotions, and thereby it's going to change also how you feel about them. Because saying, hey, I'm fabulous today, it has a whole nother energy to it than saying, well, I'm good, doesn't it? And so first key here, first challenge is to really add new words to your vocabulary. The second challenge and is to really learn to accurately identify your emotions. And that may really take, just you sitting down for a moment and checking in with yourself. If you have this really fuzzy feeling, right? You're not quite sure. Maybe it takes like 30 seconds to just sit down and close your eyes and think about, what am I actually feeling right now? What is this actually trying to tell me? Right? What is it trying to move me? Where does emotion come from, right? What is it, calling me to do? Is it trying to make me, go attack somebody? Is it trying to go make me retreat? Is it trying to make me, really connect with someone in a loving way? Whatever it is. But really try to name the emotion. And the more granularity you have there, the more vocabulary you have here from the first step, the easier it is going to be to then identify and label that emotion. And so this is really a practice skill, right? This is, the more you practice this, the more often you repeat this in your life, the better you're going to get at it. And over time, what you start to realize is you create all these different shades of gray, different shades of crappy, different shades of okay, and different shades of, hey, I'm fabulous today. And the more you can do that, the more deeply you can feel these emotions, and the more effectively you can actually regulate them. So that's key number 2, is really learn to identify an emotion. Anytime it comes up, say, hey, I'm feeling angry right now. I'm feeling really frustrated right now. When you do that, the impact of that emotion lessens and you become greater control of it. And so the third key I want to suggest to you here is to really re-categorize emotions. So many times in our lives, when we have a certain feeling, we simply categorize it in the wrong way and thereby shift our focus in a totally ineffective and unhelpful way. So for example, when you're about to give this public presentation, right? You go into this test and you have this really jittery feeling in your stomach, right? And you're really, you're shaking with your arms a little bit, your sweat is dripping down, right? You're breathing kind of heavy. What most people do then is they'll categorize that as anxiety, for example, right? And they're like, oh my God, I'm so anxious. And what happens when you say, I'm so anxious, what happens is your brain starts to go off in all these different directions. Like, I didn't practice enough, I'm not prepared, the teacher doesn't like me, my boss is going to yell at me, whatever it is, right? And your brain starts going in all these crazy directions. And so what you want to do instead, and this is really a fundamentally powerful key, is anytime you feel this jittery feeling of anxiety, you want to recategorize that as excitement. Because the physical symptoms of excitement are exactly the same. The, little fuzzy feeling, right? The sweat, the pounding heart. It's all the exact same physiological feelings, but simply by recategorizing that from anxiety to excitement, what happens is you actually lessen the impact of that. So you still feel these feelings, but what research has shown is that actually what you'll do is you'll release less cortisol, meaning less of the stress hormone that makes you feel so jittery, so anxious, and you feel like, you just can't do it. Cortisol really inhibits performance, meaning when this goes high because you're so worried about anxiety, your performance will drastically decline. And so simply switching from anxiety to saying, hey, I'm so excited about this, releases less cortisol and thereby makes you perform better. And so there's a bunch of different ways in which you specifically in your life can really adapt this. And I really want to challenge you to try this out, to play with it, to practice this. Because just like any other mental skill, with practice over time, you get really, really good at correctly identifying the emotions that you're feeling and thereby, increasing your ability massively to regulate and control them. And so that's really my hope for all of you guys today. Let me know in the comments, how are you feeling today? Are you feeling fabulous, on top of the world, super excited, maybe just miserable, maybe okay, maybe whatever it is, but really just ask yourself, how am I truly doing today? Because the more often you do, the more often you check in with yourself, the better you'll get at it. All the best and see you soon.